Calcification is dangerous, and it's super important for us to learn about and understand, use our knowledge for power. So that's what we're talking about today. Heart attack, stroke, a number of different issues when it comes to soft tissue around calcification, which is exactly what I'm going to explain. The exact definition of calcification, so you have it, we know exactly what it is. I thought I would explain calcification. I was like, well, why don't I just read this so you have a better idea? And this might be a bit sciencey, so I'm going to break it down into my own explanation and help you learn a bit more about it. Calcification happens when calcium builds up in body tissue, blood vessels, or organs. So that's where the real concern is, not when it builds up in bones. That's a more of a natural process. This buildup can harden and disrupt your body's natural processes, like blood flow to and from your heart, which is why I was talking about heart attack, stroke, etc. Calcium is transported through the bloodstream. It's also found in every cell. As a result, calcification can occur in almost any part of the body, which isn't always a good thing. According to the National Academy of Medicine, 99% of your body's calcium is in your teeth and bones, again, where it should be. But the other 1% is in blood, muscles, or fluid outside of the cells. Some disorders cause calcium to deposit where it doesn't typically belong over time. This can add up and cause problems. And that's the problems we're going to talk about today. And this is important because of this age range where we work with, like mainly roughly 40 to 60-year-old women in particular. And this is where more calcification problems or concerns start to show up on and in our bodies. So that's important to understand that a lot of times people aren't really concerned about this stuff early on. And now it's like, oh, I got to make a change. Things are happening in my body. I don't know what's going on. This may be one of them. I want to talk about causes of calcification because if we know what's causing it, we can talk about solutions, prevention, and treatment. I'm a big prevention fan. I look at well, the first number of years we started in business, I always talked about prevention, and that wasn't sexy or interesting. People are like, prevention? Like, that's 10 years, that's 20 years. But once you get into chronic pain talk, that's when people are like, oh, that's happening to me right now. So unfortunately, that's the way the world works. When it comes to causes of calcification, one of them in particular, and I get this question all the time, how do I balance my hormones? So if you look at cortisol, many of us know what it is, but we don't know what's causing, like what the damage it's doing. So when we work with our individual clients, I can tell you for a fact, one of the main things that's holding them back from seeing more results, and even though we see incredible results, they could see even more results if they manage their cortisol levels. Now, I hear all the time, can you talk about hormones? Can you help me balance my hormones? What's going on with my hormones? It's perimenopause. Just in that particular menopausal state, hormones are out of whack and they're kind of all over the place. Well, in my opinion, this is built up cortisol levels over years, and that's from stress. I'm talking about our metabolism program. Everyone's different. We see ups and downs. In most cases, we're looking for a slow decrease in weight along with other types of benefits like more energy, improved digestion, dropping inches, burning body fat, increased metabolism. So you're more hungry, which is a good thing. Those cortisol levels continue to increase. Once we hit that menopausal state, it's like a whole different ballgame. Your body's going through a whole lot of different things. But again, in my opinion, that's built up cortisol levels that is causing calcification in our body, which is where we run into those more serious issues. So we have to start controlling our cortisol levels now. Those cortisol levels continue to increase, and we don't have that balance, that hormonal balance that we're looking for. And the number one way to do that is to reduce the stress in your life. Now, the number one thing you can do to reduce stress and decrease those cortisol levels is exercise. What happens during the most stressful time in your life? You don't exercise. So if you want to start making changes in your life, reduce stress levels, you need to start exercising. That's it. That's all there is to it. That will help with arthritis, what I'll talk about later in the show. That will help with osteoporosis, which we're all going through. Like some people message me and say, I've been diagnosed with osteoporosis. Well, osteoporosis is at different levels, but the very root of that word is decreasing bone mass. And after we hit a certain age, I don't know what that age is, it's quite early, 25, 30, we have less and less bone mass as we age. And one of the things that we can do is exercise, right? That's why we're so passionate about exercising. We've had people seeing incredible results with just nutrition. And we're nutrition heavy. We do a lot around ingredients, balancing macros, counting calories. We do that for our clients. And we have a lot of people that say, oh, I just want to do nutrition, or I don't really want to work out, or I'm good with workouts, I just need nutrition. We could do that, but I don't want to go down that road because I don't think you'll get the full value. Like, you don't get the full benefits of just eating well, maybe dropping some weight and feeling better, and not dealing with it, with those underlying issues of osteoporosis, of calcification, of stress continuing to build up, of cortisol levels being unbalanced. So that's why it's so important. And that's why we're so adamant about, we're not doing just fitness. Our goal is to help improve your lifestyle as a whole, and it's to help you keep those results. If you're just dabbling in supplements, and maybe you're just starting with supplements, that's okay. But if you're just dabbling in supplements, you're just dabbling in nutrition, you're not necessarily working out. Or it could be the opposite, right? You're working out, but you're not following. We see that quite a bit, actually. Working out a bit more consistently, not following a proper nutrition plan. Then you run into these types of issues. And I'm going to explain here the importance of different vitamins and how vitamins work together. You stack vitamins together and they help benefit one another. You increase absorption, you increase results, instead of like kind of picking and choosing and like, oh, I heard I should take a magnesium and calcium. No, you shouldn't. I heard I should take a calcium pill. Probably not. I'll get into that in a moment here, but let's get into the next one. Built up toxins in your body. This is something we talk about quite a bit, or this is something that we kind of specialize in detoxifying your body. I wrote a whole book about it, and I feel like that kind of launched our business. That was a bestseller in Calgary. I was all over bookstores in Calgary doing book signings for, I think, a whole year. That was absolutely exhausting. But we talk about the toxins you put in your body, the toxins you put on your body, the air you breathe, the water you drink, the toxic thoughts, the environment you're in. It's, again, a holistic type of lifestyle, but you have to remove toxins from your body, because those toxins are one of the reasons why calcification is building up in not the right areas. So long-term exposure to heavy metals, and that's important because there's heavy metals everywhere. There's heavy metals in medication. One of the reasons why we don't feel you should be on long-term medication, you should have a plan to get off that with your doctor, if possible. I try not to give medical advice. That's what your doctor's for, but it'd be my opinion to understand that medication works great, but long-term, that's putting damage on your body on somewhere or another. And hard metals is one of them. You could look at hard metals from the ocean. So when you're consuming fish, and I'll tell you what you can do about that here in this show. And then you could look at water, and it's crazy. We have to drink pure water. There's pesticides, like the pesticides leach through, like they're spraying the fields with Roundup, or like those people in our community. It drives me crazy. We have a toddler running around our neighborhood. We have a bunny. There's neighborhood dogs. I'm an animal lover. And people are out there spraying their dandelions with, like, what do you think happens with that? It just naturally disintegrates, and it's not toxic. It's toxic. And that goes into our soil, and that goes into our water table. And then what happens to our water? Right. So our water, they negatively affected by those pesticides as well. Same thing with medication. Like, medication is polluting. Like, people are throwing that in the toilet, throwing that down the sink. That is polluting our water. We have to be drinking pure sources of water, properly filtered spring water. Not a huge fan of bottled water. I really dislike wanting to use plastic bottles, but there's a lot of concerns when it comes to toxins in our body, and that is causing calcification within our body. That's obviously harmful. So if we're not taking active steps to detox our body, remove toxins and avoid toxins, that's definitely going to be a concern now. I mean, if not now, certainly in the future. Radiation therapy causes calcification. That's something worth noting. And I'm not here to tell you not to do these things. I'm not saying don't do radiation. I'm not saying don't take medication. That's not my place. I just want to shine some light on what's happening. Like, we are in a world full of obese, depressed, miserable, ill people waiting in pharmacies. You can't get into family doctors. There's not enough of them. That's the world we live in. That's our reality. And I feel like, and I'm not pointing any fingers, I'm just saying that's how we live. It's up to us to take control of our health. And if everyone's doing the same thing, if everyone, the majority, the masses are moving in one direction, do you think it's time to start changing your mindset and going in a different direction and stand with the few that take control of their health and are exercising, properly supplementing, and putting quality nutrients in their body? Probably. It's probably a good idea to start stepping outside of your comfort zone and going a different direction if you haven't seen the results you're looking for. This actually happened with, I had a number of messages come in when I talked about fitness. Completely blew people's minds, but I talked about a different way of working out and a different mindset, and stop clanging around heavy weights or burpees doing burpees and throwing up. Even machines, like curves types of machines, those isolated movements, like that's not how our bodies are meant to move. But when you offer a different mindset to people, they're so shocked, like, oh, I didn't know there was a different way. So I'm telling you that there's a different way to live. This is what we teach our clients. This is the way we live ourselves. We're in a small community of people that, I say small, we live in our own little bubble. And I think, like, I see someone like a big jug of Crisco oil or whatever, like canola oil, and I'm like, people still buy that stuff? Because we're in our own little world of our own bubble. And then I see people drinking Diet Coke in the morning, for example, or the lineup at Tim Hortons around the block and down the street. And I'm like, we don't put the connection together, right? Like the lineup outside of the pharmacies and you can't get into your family doctors, like, and everyone's doing the same thing. Like, we got to start taking different action. It starts with a different mindset to see different results. What I was saying, a bunch of messages of people saying, I don't have to do cardio. I don't have to lift heavy weights. And I'm saying, like, we have a different philosophy when it comes to life in general, but when it comes to nutrition and supplementation and working out, it's completely different. And I think any of our clients that might be in here will tell you that we've seen incredible results in even a short amount of time, but then we offer sustainability as well, which is a different mindset, because most people are jump in, jump off. Let me see how quickly I can get results and then go do something else. Next shiny object. One of the other ones we need to look at here is, this is a tough one because I'm pretty sure that doctors are recommending calcium supplements. And I don't like to disagree with doctors because people love their doctors. In this age group, people do everything their doctor says, exactly what they say. And we even have family members that won't listen to us, but if their doctor says something, they'll do it. This is a bit of a challenging subject, but I'm okay with it. Is that in most cases, those calcium supplements that you're taking, you may not want to be taking them. I'm not telling you shouldn't take them. I'm saying you may consider not taking them. You have to look at the source, what type of quality that's coming from, how bioavailable it is, how that's digesting, and you have to look at what comes along with it. So when you look at magnesium, like if you're taking magnesium has over 300 enzymatic functions in the body. The 4 main reasons our customers or clients take it is for sleep, digestion, energy, and chronic pain. Those are the 4 main reasons. Restless legs closely connected to sleep, because if your legs are bouncing around all night, you're not going to sleep. So the thing is, if you're taking a calcium supplement because your doctor told you have osteoporosis and you need to improve your bone mass or increase your bone mass through supplementation, let's say you're taking a calcium supplement and you're taking a magnesium supplement at the same time, the calcium wins out. There's only so many pores that your body can absorb at a time. And what's even worse is that some people take a 1 pill that's calcium and magnesium, and they're just getting calcium. So people are like, well, what's the recommended daily allowance? How much you take? That doesn't matter. That's not the question you should be asking yourself. The question you should be asking yourself are, what are the ingredients? What quality are you taking, and what are you taking with it that could be inhibiting your absorption? So your calcium supplement is inhibiting your absorption of your magnesium. So if you're going to take calcium supplement, it's completely up to you. Take them at different times. If you're low in iron, it's because your calcium is too high. You're not balancing your minerals properly in your body. So more calcium equals even less iron absorption. If you're taking them at the same time, guess what happens? Calcium wins out, iron drops. So that's important to understand, is that if you're taking a calcium, you have to be very careful of when you take it. And then I would look at the source, the quality, other ingredients. In most cases, because they're all white, you're going to have a titanium dioxide in there. I even heard in one of my, I wrote down here, one of my points of research, silica. And we actually have a PDF, but 10 top ingredients you should stay away from when it comes to supplements. When you're looking at your supplements, you take this list and you go look at your supplements, and if it's on there, you don't take it. But silica was one of them that causes calcification, and silica's in a lot of supplements. When you're looking at taking your calcium pill to improve your bone mass, you got to look at other areas, right? We could look at food. We could look at exercise. If you're looking at food in particular, you could look at dairy. For example, we count calories for our MAP members. So we look at clean Greek yogurt with very few ingredients because of the protein content, not necessarily the calcium, but you get two benefits there. You could look at green leafy veggies. You could look at beans and lentils. Fish that have the bones in them is a good calcium source. But if you notice here, like we believe in all the 4 macros. So look at what I'm talking about here. Fish, healthy fats. Nuts and seeds, healthy fats. Beans and lentils, carb/protein. Dairy, protein. Look at your green leafy vegetables, antioxidants. So if you balance your macros like we teach or like we do for our clients, you have a well balance of calcium in your food, right? It's not a secret what we're teaching or what we believe in. If you're not sure, macros is protein, fats, carbs, and antioxidants, the 4 macros. We balance each of those in most meals throughout the day in a specific calorie count for your body weight. That's what we do for our clients. And that's why we've seen such amazing results. But it's not just weight or energy or digestion. You can look at more in-depth or even more serious concerns like calcification. Instead of your doctor being like, you need to take a calcium pill, I would say you need to balance your macros so you're getting enough calcium from better, cleaner, more absorbable sources that are bioavailable that your body's going to use. Everyone's heard you can't out-supplement a bad diet. I wouldn't say go and supplement with a bunch of low-quality supplements. You have to add food into your diet, quality nutrients, and then you supplement. That's how it works. The other thing I wanted to mention here is vitamin D. Vitamin D is a great source to help with your bones and your teeth. And we know it helps with your immune system. From the last few years, everyone jumped on the vitamin D train. Now, here, let me explain a couple things. When it comes to vitamin D, you need proper magnesium levels for your vitamin D to absorb. The natural supplement industry, I feel like there's not enough information on or not clear enough. And it's not like, and I talked about this before, if you have a pharmaceutical, for example, that has millions, if not billions of dollars behind it, right? So they have the research and they have the advertising and they have doctor recommendations, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. We need medication in this world. The natural supplement world doesn't have that funding. They don't have millions or billions of dollars behind. So you don't see it. Doctors are great at, in most cases, prescribing medication. That's their knowledge. That's their base. That's what they do. Unless you go to a naturopathic doctor, which is few and far between. Most people aren't going that route. You don't get that knowledge. You don't see it on commercials. You don't see them in pharmacies being advertised like those big signs. They're paying pharmacies to put their products on those walls, right? So there's just less knowledge and there's less information. That's why you're sitting here learning about this. But one of the best ways to prevent calcification is vitamin K2. So let me explain. You have your vitamin D. Everyone should be taking 5,000 IUs of vitamin D. Those of you that are listening around the world, if you're spending more time outside, you may need less. But we need much more vitamin D than we think we do because we don't get natural sunlight anymore. But that vitamin D isn't going to absorb if you don't have proper magnesium levels. So you take your magnesium every single day, good quality source, clean ingredients to increase your magnesium levels. Then you will take your vitamin D and that will help with the absorption. Now, if you're taking too much vitamin D or if you have too much calcium in your diet or if you're taking those calcium pills, for example, without K2, then you run into the calcification or over supplementing, if you will. So that's why you need to have the K2 as a driver. So that K2 will take the calcium to your bones and teeth and to where it should go instead of the soft tissue arteries, which is where we come into the issues of high blood pressure, stroke, heart attack, etc. Right? So you need a combination of these supplements for them to work as much as possible for you to get the best bang for your buck. Okay, so 120 mcgs of your K2 if it's in a liquid product. We take our magnesium, liquid magnesium first thing in the morning. We take Magtin in the afternoon. I know this is going to sound like a lot to some people. Scale it back if you need to. We also take one dose of vitamin D in the morning with K2, another dose of vitamin D and K2 in the afternoon. So we get a double hit of it. And then from there, I want to talk about chlorella today. So chlorella is super important. Chlorella is very high in K2. We take 5 tabs of chlorella in the morning and 5 tabs in the afternoon. And this is to help with calcification. It's because we have high levels of vitamin D going into our body. It's because we use spirulina and chlorella as a multivitamin. Don't really believe in multivitamins for a number of different reasons, but I would suggest taking your greens. Spirulina has one single ingredient. I talked about in the past show about iron. And then we also take chlorella as a K2, as a multivitamin. The other thing I want to mention is, remember we talked about fish being high in iron as a natural source? Well, fish comes from the ocean, and there's hard metals in the ocean because of all the pollution. Now we need a product like chlorella to detox the hard metals. Also, you have hard metals in water, in medication. We talked about that before. So chlorella is great for detoxing your body, supporting your immune system, and has over 40 vitamins and minerals. It is absolutely essential to your health. So when we take chlorella, ours is organic. It's cold pressed. The cell walls are cracked through sound, which is super cool. These are grown in fresh water, not in the ocean. So you don't have that ocean pollution. They're grown in fresh water. One single ingredient. These are super bioavailable. Your body digests them almost instantly. Our little guy, he chews them. Every morning when we have our greens, he gets his, and he just chews them because he doesn't eat sugar. He doesn't know the difference of food or supplements that don't have sugar in them. When you're looking at your overall supplementation, most people don't get enough greens. Remember when I talked about some natural sources of calcium here? I said green leafy veggies. That's the antioxidant that most people are missing. You can help get that through chlorella and spirulina. We talked about the main sources or reasons of calcification is toxins, and those toxins cause inflammation. So you've seen people, or maybe grandparents, that have those big knuckles from arthritis. That's from inflammation. That inflammation comes from lifestyle, from inactivity, that comes from brand oils, that comes from low quality food. So we need to start paying attention to what we're putting in our body as early as possible, so we don't run into so much of those arthritis or so much like that osteoporosis. You know, as we age, great grandma or grandpa fell down, broke his hip, he's got weak bones, right? We got to do something about that now so we don't get into that situation later on in life. We take 5 chlorella tabs in the late morning and then 5 around supper time or after supper. So we take 10 a day. That may seem like a lot to you, like to the average person. I don't know. I would suggest taking at least 5 a day. For us, we work at prevention, right? If you're going to have fish and that's the only time you want to take chlorella, then take 5 before you eat fish. That's an easy one for you. But again, we look at prevention and overall toxins, hard metals, everything that's going on in our life. And we're not in control of everything. That's why we look at activated charcoal. Activated charcoal before bed to remove all the toxins. Even though we try to live as healthy as possible, we're consuming toxins. We're putting some type of oxidation, some type of damage on our cells just by living because of the world we live in. It's not the cleanest, healthiest, most positive world we live in. I think we all know that. This is a super important topic. Pay attention to the calcium, the calcification that's happening in your body, especially in women. It used to be just men with heart attacks, heart disease, heart attacks in particular. Now, I think it's either 50-50 or women are having more heart attacks than men now. And you could look at something like calcification, your diet, your supplementation, and what you're not taking to improve your health. So I really hope that you guys take action on this information and find a way to improve your health with one step or another to make that happen.